Is this thing on?
I think it's on.
Welcome to the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
We're live with coffee and cookies.
And friends.
And we're here to talk about Starfleet Academy.
We are indeed. Welcome to Talking Trek Talks About Starfleet Academy, Season 1, Episode 8. Episode title?
The episode title is right there. The Life of the Stars.
The Life of the Stars. And we're not talking about Hollywood.
No, we're not indeed. Good evening, everybody. Appreciate you guys all being here. Thank you for being a part of our live studio audience live from Star Trek The Cruise 9. I'm UltimatDJz.
I'm Griffin.
And we're joined by our friends Beck Likes Plants and Chicago Hearts. Good evening, everybody. Appreciate you guys all being here. And hope you guys enjoyed the watch through just a little bit ago of episode 8 of Starfleet Academy, which we actually got to watch about 12 hours early. We actually got to watch this yesterday here aboard Star Trek The Cruise. So not just amazing fun and activities and shows and everything, but Beck, Star Trek leaks from the Star Trek universe. We actually got to watch this episode yesterday, which was very, very exciting.
And not alone, we watched it with actual Bob Picardo.
He did indeed. Bob Picardo was there, watched it with us, and what an amazing performance he gave. We're going to talk about that
And
tonight.
Zoe was there.
Absolutely, as well as Gina, who was also in the audience. We actually got to watch Starfleet Academy with 3 of the cast of Starfleet Academy, which brings a whole new level of excitement, appreciation, and understanding of the episode, because not only did we get to talk to them before, but also talk to them after the episode to get insight on what is going on within Starfleet Academy. And we will have both of those shows ready to upload to you guys here within the coming days, so we're very, very excited about that. Good evening, everybody. Appreciate you guys all being here. Welcome in from the live studio audience. The episode is The Life of the Stars. We saw a lot of great stuff here. We saw a relationship strained between Tarima and Caleb. We saw a hint of jealousy between Tarima and Genesis.
No, we saw jealousy from Tarima to Genesis.
It's the same difference.
He said it.
I did say it. we also have the Doctor's traumatic past coming up to resurge in his life. We saw Sam in a dire medical emergency. Lots of stuff to unpack with this episode, so we're excited to have you guys.
And we're not going to unpack it alone. Along with the ride, though not on the ship, is co-host of Talking Treks about Starfleet Academy, live via satellite, is Mr. Bubba Joe himself.
We're going to check the satellite. Bubba, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
There he
He's
is.
here.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Bubba Joe phoning in from the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. This is really exciting, really, when you think about where we have come. It's been a long road getting from there to here, but the show that we are bringing to the live studio audience right now is from the middle of the ocean.
Which you would have seen better if we were able to go live 30 minutes ago. So you'll just have to promise, or take my word for it, there's a beautiful sunset that you just barely missed right behind us.
We
from
tried
Deck
to
10.
get on the air faster. We couldn't quite pull it off. Lots of stuff to move because mainly, and we're not broadcasting from our studio in Windjammer. We kind of had to tear that down and get ready to.
Well, we didn't
get
have
off the
to.
ship.
I thought it would be wonderful to come right from the balcony of the production offices, and here we are.
That was a cookie that just walked off the table.
Well, you will be able to know when the show's over, not only by the content that we're covering, but when the plate is out of cookies, we're out of time.
That's it. We won't have any more.
The cookies are just gonna like slowly throughout the show just disappear.
Just
by
disappear.
hand.
All the cookies gonna go. So, guys, listen. This was a very heavy episode to unpack. I'm really excited to talk to you guys about it. Bubba, you had a chance to watch this earlier today. First of all, let me come to you first for your initial gut reaction. Life of the Stars, episode number 8. There was a lot to unpack here. Bubba, you gave early indication that this episode was awesome.
What are you looking for? A rating?
No, I'm just asking for his first thoughts, initial thoughts.
Yeah,
Let's talk about it.
You giving me like half an hour to talk, or
Right,
is this
that's
just
what
like
I was
a
going to
high-level
can we
overview?
sharpen that focus just a little bit? Tell us everything you think about the episode, Bubba. Go ahead.
Okay, no, just, I like, for example, the first question I asked you last night was, wow, that was great. And I said, I loved it. We're going to talk about a lot of the details, but I mean, did you like it? Did you not like it? Bubba, you go first.
Oh, I loved this episode on a lot of levels for a lot of character moments. I'm really excited to see where we go next week with the Jonathan Frakes episode, which is always like peak Trek. This seems like it's building up to something really epic. But there were a ton of super solid character moments. Seems like this whole first season is about developing key character moments so that we can really buy into these characters. And I've really appreciated that and the way that they've expanded upon those in each and every episode.
Beck, that was one of your big observations from the very beginning, was to make sure that we were becoming emotionally attached to these guys, to make sure that eventually when the stakes came, that they would feel real. Do you feel like Starfleet Academy has delivered on those relationships? Like, is it time for us to get into some high stakes stuff? Do you feel like you love these guys yet?
Yes.
Good answer.
There's not enough time.
Not enough time for what? Okay, you have a comment.
No, it's Beck's turn. You asked if it's yet time to actually get on with the show and see some action instead of just character development. That was a question for her. I was simply pantomiming.
I thought he was telling me I needed to hurry up with my answer.
No, not at all.
Nobody understood that reference at all. It's fine.
No. I absolutely adored this episode for many, many reasons. I love really deep development writing. I was really hoping that we'd see a little bit more of Chancellor Ake during this one in terms of her development, but they kind of set it up for, she hasn't quite gotten through everything yet, but I'm waiting for that for probably the next episode. So looking forward to that.
Do you have a similar opinion, Griffin, or?
Oh, you just went to. I don't know. I'm still.
Am I supposed to go in order? I'm just going with.
I'm sitting here enjoying my coffee. I don't know what's happening. I enjoyed the episode more the second time I saw it the first time. I have problems with the fundamental storytelling components that they utilized in the episode. The character development was great. All the characters who were featured, I think, came out winners. Nobody came out a loser in this episode. I think everybody went in the right direction. Yeah, there's winners and losers usually of every episode. This time around, I don't think anybody came out on the short end of the stick, except maybe Jaden. But overall, I think everybody's characters developed and advanced in a positive direction.
And I got to meet Tilly. That's my first time seeing Tilly.
Yeah,
this is Beck's time.
First time. Jaden was like, he had to go film something else. So like, we're gonna write you out of this episode.
Yeah, basically, you're dismissed because you have a cough. What?
Come back later.
Exactly.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting moment. We can talk about that in a second. Your first reactions?
Oh,
Chicago?
I was just gonna say, I think that's the short end of the sick. But
the short end of the sick.
Hold on. Do I have a button here for that? I do. Okay,
excellent.
fantastic.
We'll need that one quite a bit.
Yeah, thanks.
No, my first impressions were good. I think the writers they've been kind of investing a little bit in each episode, just like emotional currency, and then this is kind of the episode where we got to see some of the capital gains from that investment. They started to pull out a few of those small tidbits, especially with like the Doctor's development from the first 7 episodes, with all the little interactions we've had with Sam up until this point, and they kind of got to cash out on a lot of that emotional investment here in a way that feels really deep and resounding.
Well, we're going to get into all the nitty-gritty. So at this point, I'm going to give you the spoiler alert. From here on out, we're going to talk about plot, we're going to talk about story, we're going to talk about the scenes and what happened between the characters. So if you have not yet watched Starfleet Academy Episode 8, then this is the point to tune out, pause, come back later after you've had a chance to see it, because at this moment, spoilers abound. The episode picks up still dealing with the trauma of the USS Miyazaki and the whole run-in with Noose Braca. We actually do now see the return of Tarima. That's kind of the opening scene. Tarima coming in.
But before that, it's this beautiful monologue by the Doctor. You can't dip out on this beautiful monologue by the Doctor. It actually starts with sunrise in San Francisco, and the Doctor sort of being the narrator, sort of like the stage manager from Our Town when you look at it again. And he is sort of setting the scene from his perspective. And he is really, in case you missed it in the first 7 episodes, underlining and bolding how suddenly depressed he is. And now we're really going to confront that.
All right, so we're going to get into this piece right here and now, shall we?
No, I mean, I'm just setting the stage for how the show begins.
Right. And it's with setting the stage, I think like one of the big things we talked about last week that I think is important to call out is last week we were shocked that we didn't talk about the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And this week we got that. Last week we were like, yeah, it was weird that we just kind of brushed past the fact that the episode before was just really intense.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave us that little bit of what we had last week, and we all wondered about it. And this week they jumped right in, like, no, like we're gonna talk about the aftermath in a different way
Of the Miyazaki.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Miyazaki.
So then we see Tarima's return. She has recovered. She's out of the coma. She comes in. She meets with the doctor and Captain Ake, who have reassigned her against her will away from the War College. And this is something that Tarima is not at all happy with. Bubba, the whole grasping of Tarima and taking her away. I want to hone in on this just for a second. Do you think that Starfleet Academy was right in their choice to move her? Were they afraid of her? Did they move her for her own good? Did they move her for the Academy's good, for the Federation's good? What was the purpose in actually moving Tarima out of the War College? Do we have Bubba Joe?
Can you hear me?
Yep, there
There
we
you
go.
are.
Gotcha.
I'm thinking. So I don't think they really justified that in the show.
I agree.
I think that it's more just we want to have you around more often. So this is the monkey or we are going to invent to have that around more often.
Ooh.
Like, I don't think that they justified it well. I don't think that they supported the action. I don't think it's supported by the story. Like, I think they just did it in the hopes that, that we wouldn't really notice. And this is the one thing in the episode I'm like, and then it kind of became a point, but I was just like, it doesn't make any sense why this is necessary. It's not like the War College is separate from the Academy. It's not like the doctor couldn't keep an eye on her at the War College. It's not like they're at a completely different location or country or doing, like, they share classes together. So it didn't really make any sense at all that they had to do this for some reason. I'd say from what I felt was an exceptional episode with very few flaws, this was one of them.
Bubba, I wish you were on camera right now because Beck. I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to let Beck rebuttal. Beck likes plants.
Bubba, I'm so glad you're sitting. I'm so glad you're sitting because you are wrong.
Okay.
In the most
Okay.
loving and respectful way possible, because I admire you very much, my friend.
I
no,
appreciate that.
I think what we might be missing here, and maybe it's not justified externally, but it's implied. It's sometimes you look at a person who is hurting, and it is your job to step in and assist them and place them in a place to help them to heal. And they knew the best way to help her to heal was to place her with the other cadets who lived through that trauma so they could go through this portion of healing together. I know that they tried to justify it as well with the whole, we've replaced the urine inhibitor and now you can't do this in the War College and yada, yada, yada. But the real, like fundamental piece there was placing her somewhere to help her heal that she wasn't going to get in the War College.
Well, I don't know if I fully agree with that, simply because the War College was involved in that too. They lost Bobby. I mean, they actually lost a classmate. The War College was very
involved.
involved.
She was connected with Caleb on the bridge with those other cadets. Like, she was with them all, physically and mentally in that entire scenario. Like, it is something that she blamed herself for, and she's been sitting with for the last however long, 2-3 months at this point. Like, she was gone for a month that we know of in the last episode, and obviously more time has passed since then, so I'm going to assume 2 to 3 months. But no, like, if you see a friend that is struggling with something, the first thing that you want to do is put them in company, right? Like, you don't want them to do it alone. And Tarima chose to be alone in the War College for reasons. She did say that she was making more friends, sure, but that's not who she had the deeper connection with. And they knew that putting her here was the best chance for her to start healing.
You know, one thing, Chicago, that we didn't get to see, which I know is not the focal point of the show, but we didn't get to see how the War College reacted, even if it was just a piece of the story. We didn't get to see how the War College reacted because that may have provided a little bit more insight into the decision to move Tarima. What we did see was all of the Starfleet Academy cadets were malfunctioning. we did see the massive dysfunction. We saw Captain Ake observing that the frustrations were high. They weren't cohesive. There was no teamwork, which ultimately led to the introduction of Mary Wiseman in this episode, which Tilly just absolutely killed it. And we're going to talk about that coming up here in a second. But I wonder, Chicago, would it have, first of all, did it make sense to you moving Tarima into Academy? But if it did or did not, is a lack of context with the War College a piece of that for you?
I mean, I think the most interesting part about moving Tarima over to Starfleet Academy for me is they have effectively in what they didn't say noted that the War College only trains tactical officers. Right? The reason they give in the show is like, hey, you're gonna kind of have to study science now or something that isn't just combat, and that's the reason for moving her over. So, I think there is potentially more to be explored on the War College's reaction to it. I think there is potentially some of it where they're supposed to be trained to be militant and cold and potentially disconnected from handling this trauma in the way that would be, really fully healing. Whether or not we revisit the War College and how their I guess cadets as well are handling it. I think what we've implied here is that Starfleet Academy, is really doing a holistic job of caring for their students and a holistic job in setting them up for whatever their future capacity might be in ways that it's at least implied the War College is not doing or not capable of doing.
I wonder, Griffin, because in episode 7, which was the Kozin episode, Raimi's wedding, and there's a cookie thief. Yeah. We actually did see Kyle for just a minute, right before vacation, right after vacation. To directly correlate with Chicago's theory about the War College, whether or not they were affected or trained or distanced or cold-hearted, do you feel like, and of course we only saw Kyle for a few seconds, but do you feel like the War College received Bobby's death differently than Starfleet Academy cadets?
Well, probably. I think Chicago's right. I mean, the War Call, here's the conversation between the lines. It's like, hey, welcome back. Listen, you're in this one school. They're doing all this tactical, high pressure cooker stuff. You are coming back. You're on the mend. You got the new thing. We don't know. So we're gonna make you hang out with the bookworms for a while. So because we don't really know. We don't really So bookworms for the rest of the semester, and then probably we can reassess the War College. And my problem with that, and why she was the loser of the episode for me until later on. Initially, it was Chancellor Barefeet just literally no conversation is had with Tarima. Like, will this be beneficial to you? What are your thoughts? She just comes back to school. She's in the uniform. She's pissed about it. Nobody asked her opinion, and go over there. And you could tell that she was mad because she did have that blow up with Tilly over it. And I feel as though that could have been handled much better, especially when the second that the hologram has an issue, oh my gosh, I've got to put in here. Where's the assistant dean? Do my work for the next 2 weeks. I'm going to go to Hologram Town and stand there and watch the doctor help this girl get better. But I sure hope that girl whose decisions I made for her is going to be all right with Tilly. And I just didn't like it. Rubbed me the wrong way.
This was an interesting move for me, and it sounds like Bubba's kind of confused about that as well. So we're going to have to look and see how this develops over the next couple of episodes. I don't know the purpose.
Hold on.
I don't know the
I'm
purpose.
not confused. It was done as a story point. It was done because they needed her to be closer to the cadets. That's it.
Well,
so I'm not confused.
Okay, fair enough. And what ultimately did happen is we added more dysfunction to the cadets, right? There was already dysfunction. There was already a lack of teamwork, a lack of camaraderie, a lack of cohesion.
I love that scene. I love the group failure on the bridge simulation scene. I thought that was great.
That was good.
That painted a perfect picture of where they were at as a group.
It did. It was very quick. It was to the point, but their heads were not in the game.
Correct.
So, Ake and Reno put their heads together. They come up with the solution. Beck, the solution is Lieutenant Tilly. All right. And she pops in. First of all, this was when we were watching this here on the ship. This was a moment of eruption for the audience. We've all been waiting for this all season long. The introduction of Mary Wiseman. She comes in,
Yep.
and the place just went nuts. We've been very excited to see this. Beck, when we see Tilly come in, she comes in with one purpose. It seems as though she has grown in her role with the Academy. She's grown in her ability to work with cadets. She's now Lieutenant Fix-It.
Yep.
She is the go-to.
I'll take your word for that.
Well, you don't know
I
because
don't know.
she hasn't experienced, but huge growth. I mean, there's been huge growth in Tilly's character from when we last saw her, where we really knew her,
Well,
to where
yeah.
she is now. Now she's the one with the answers instead of the one with the questions, and I thought that was wonderful.
You know, that is. I guess that's unfair to ask you back, and because we see a very well when you're talking character development, we see it.
Yeah, she's
with
grown
Tilly.
up quite a bit.
This is really, really big. So, Bubba, let me redirect that question to you. Lieutenant Tilly comes in. She is Lieutenant Fix-It now. She's the go-to for Captain Ake. How do you feel about Tilly's character development between Discovery and Starfleet Academy? Did this work for you?
I think you're confusing season 1, season 2 Tilly with where we left her in season 5, because she was the Admiral's go fix it, make things better, fix these cadets. Like, she was already doing that in the end of season 5 of Discovery. She was already a rock star at the end of Discovery when she went off to support the Academy, as opposed to continuing on with Discovery. So she was already. I don't see this is just a natural picking up where we left off.
Okay. Well, and it may be that I'm not remembering as strong and powerful as she was at the end of Discovery, but she came in this episode ready to ring the bell. She came in, and from the moment she
lots of
entered,
confidence now. That was a big change of her having confidence that she knew what she was talking about. She knew what we needed to go do. She knew what she could see a solution. She was very creative in architecting that solution, and she's definitely has evolved over a lot of Discovery. And what I loved is that she's like, all right, let me see the problem. I got a solution. Now let's go try and do it with tricking the students.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was the biggest piece of it. That was why they called her in, was for the trauma counseling without them knowing it was trauma counseling. And that line was stated by Captain Ake. Griffin, when we see Tilly come in, she immediately, from the moment she comes on camera, she commands the scene. Did this work for you?
Oh yeah, I thought that it was really cool. They needed a special teams play. They called a special teams play, and they got what they needed in that moment. And I think that opening scene and how that played out was a beautiful testament to the woman that Tilly is, and what important character traits she has to help develop the future. After having fallen in love with her character, just having gone through the thing herself on Disco.
Are you caught up with Disco? Do you remember how we left Tilly with Discovery? And do you think that she has become, as Bubba said, she was already the Admiral's Lieutenant Fix-It. Now we see her coming in even with more confidence, as Bubba describes, a natural jumping off point. Why is Tilly so good at this? Is it because of where she began? The trauma of what Tilly had to go through on Discovery, beginning from season 1 all the way to now? Why is Tilly as powerful as she is right now?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, unrelated, but I wanted to note it while we're on the topic of Tilly. I noticed she was wearing a Starfleet Academy badge, which means they must switch badges as they go to different ships, because it would have been a disco badge otherwise. But I think
Good catch.
I think also, like, the reason that Tilly is so great is also the reason that I think we all like Tilly so much as a character, which is, she's kind of the employee that started in the mailroom and worked her way up to CEO in some respect. Like, she's been at every tier of the system on the way up. She's learned, the ropes from the ground level, and as a result, she, in a lot of the same way as Sam now does, she's built up a lot of skills through a lot of different scenarios where she can now connect with these cadets and connect with the fears and the difficulties and the trauma that they're experiencing in a way that is easier to receive for them than somebody like Captain Ake, who's been around for 400, 500 years, where it's a little bit more difficult to relate to that perseverance.
Yeah.
Beck, let's look at Tilly's involvement from the scene she entered in. Without previous context, she comes in and immediately the cadets are questioning why she's even there. She comes in all happy like Tilly always is and immediately launches theater class. Tell me a little bit about this writing decision or this creative decision to have Tilly come in and disguise her counseling in this way. Why was it theater? Why was it not command? Why was it not simulation training? Why was it not anything else other than theater?
Theater, as a former theater kid, theater can do a lot for you. Theater places you sometimes outside of your comfort zone. It allows you to become something you're not, to put on the skin of someone else and to
Disassociate.
yeah, exactly. And so it allows you to have that. And then especially the healing that comes through that, choosing the play that was chosen, and going through the process of understanding the character. Because one of the things that you learn in theater is you cannot be the character unless you are the character. And so really forcing them to go into the areas that they don't necessarily want to address yet, and they start to learn it. They're smart kids, right? They're seeing it throughout the episode of why they're going through this and realizing their friend chose something for them to go through together. But theater was a great choice for how to go through this together.
Oh, I would love to jump off of that, and I totally agree. I think the entire greater theme of this episode is handling trauma in some respects, but even on the outside of that, it's learning to X again, whether that is loving in the case of the doctor, or whether that is finding a desire for life again. And I think they've shown that people always say, I'm not motivated to do this thing, or I lack motivation, and they think motivation will come to them. But all of the psychology is you need to do the thing, and doing the thing is what brings you the motivation to keep doing it, right? After the loss of life, after the loss of love, it is extremely difficult to get back up to bat and do it again. And this show in this episode is very beautifully showing that the way to do it is to keep channeling the thing that you lost, to keep finding avenues to channel that love for, a new adopted daughter in some respects, for life. And in this case, it's handling trauma, handling this extremely heavy moment through art. And I mean, we were talking the other day, you were talking with some of the lovely actors on this show, and they're channeling a lot of their own traumas and life difficulties through art, and even creating this show. So I think it is a brilliant meta on meta play of how to deal with some of those deepest, most painful events in life. And I think theater here is one, just great for the sake of theater and being awesome, but two, maybe speaks to greater art as a whole, and channeling love into something, and really pushing yourself to do it to its fullest as a way to cope and move forward.
I'll tell you, you've hit the nail on the head, because the context that we have been able to glean this week, not only in your conversations with Zoe Steiner and Gina, you help me with this, Yashere. That was a powerful hour, and I'm so excited for you guys to see this, because Beck drew out some really cool conversation pieces with Zoe and Gina in how they're portraying these characters. So I thought that was really cool. Griffin, when we come in and we've got theater being chosen, and I'm going to get to Sam's part in this very shortly, but first of all, Tarima's not buying it. None of the cadets really bought it, but Tarima was the most outraged by it. Do you feel like you have some insight into why was she so enraged with this? Was it just all the other sum of the parts that she was mad about being there? Was it her trauma being the greatest? What was the reason for Tarima's outburst to Tilly?
Yeah, I mean, it's the reason why I just have that thing stuck in my throat that makes me not like the episode as much as my counterparts here, and that's that we told the same story twice from two perspectives, and it was really much the same note but in a minor chord. And the whole problem with Tarima is that she just wasn't ready to face that trauma. And similarly, the doctor was not ready to face his trauma, even though 800 years had passed. You got to be ready to face your trauma in order to really make that change. Is it a message of hope? Yes, it certainly is. However, I think that it oversimplified and undercomplicated the solution. Sure, the solution is to face your trauma and to keep doing the thing until you find your motivation. But it's not always as easy as simply, here's this person who's going to tell me to do it, and so I'm going to do it, and then there it is. And I think that they both arrived at that decision, and they both arrived at that solution at the same time. And I know that it's not that easy in real life from real life experience. And so that kind of, it's like, but that's what it was. She just wasn't, she was so, it was bleach in the eyes. It was poison to her. It was such a rude awakening to step into the role of the exact problem that she was facing in our town.
I wonder if, this is the problem with 10 episode seasons. And I know I keep saying this.
If it were 22 episodes long and they each had their own episode doing that, no problem.
This is a problem that I see with this, because we failed to recognize too. And I know we haven't talked about it even off camera, but this episode spanned 3 weeks' time. This whole episode spanned 3 weeks' time. So there could have been a whole lot of process. There could have been a whole lot of healing happening day by day by day that we just didn't get to see. You're right. It went from one extreme to like a chopping piece in the middle, and then it was done.
I mean, I can see the point for how profound it was that we make the point of how to face the trauma and how to shine a light on trauma and how it's okay to face trauma in your own way. And there is a solution, and the hope, it's the message of hope. All of that is true. My issue with it is it's such an oversimplification based on how little time they explored that trauma that it's, it just left so much on the table for me. And then to get the double dose of it, the shot of the same exact thing, that was, but does it make sense? Yes. Is it the right message? Yes. Not enough time spent on telling the story and not enough time exploring the pain and the sadness involved.
One other thing that I'd like to explore about this particular piece, and then we can move on to the next part, is actually Sam's involvement here. So ironically, Beck, we saw, Tarima's back. The whole team is struggling with this trauma. Tarima seemingly most notably, right? But the entire squad is affecting this. Yet Sam chose this. Sam chose the play. And I want to explore the significance of that just a little bit. Why was Sam drawn to our town?
I mean, I think Sam has this unique talent, and she's done this throughout every episode in small ways, but seeing what her friends need even when they can't see it themselves. And what's interesting about that too is she doesn't bring up her own needs throughout the whole thing. She can see what they need, and she's trying to help them through each thing. She goes to each one individually throughout different episodes and is saying, "Oh, I'm noticing this. Why are you approaching it this way? Why not just do this thing?" She sees everything, even if she doesn't bring up her own. And I think that was a beautiful little, almost, I don't want to say sign off for her, but her leaving that for Tarima before she left, like as like kind of a final goodbye, was powerful.
It was a significant moment, and we do know that Sam has been struggling for weeks now. And as you pointed out, it's been at least 4 weeks, probably closer to 6, 8, maybe 10 weeks. The Hollow Suite patch did not take. The doctor even points out a little bit later, Bubba, that this problem has been continuing. She covered it up. She hid it to maybe be strong for her fellow classmates. Bubba, give me your insight into why Sam chose this particular theater piece. Was it for her? Was there something that she found in this for her, or was it indeed a selfless act so to speak, for her class.
I think she was hoping that it would heal her so that she would not have to go back to the spa.
Okay. Elaborate.
I mean, so Sam processes information so much faster than everyone, right? She's running whole simulations in the time it takes them to pick out what socks they're going to wear, right? And so she was on board with Tilly's therapeutic theater, right? She was on board from the beginning, and she wants to be healed so bad. She wants that more than anything in the world. She did not want to give up her experiences at Starfleet Academy. And so she said, I read everything there is to read. This seems like something that I think is going to help me, but also help everyone else. And so let's see if we can't figure out a way to heal everyone at once and fix what's wrong with me.
Chicago.
I mean, I guess the thought that I wanted to add is a little adjacent, but I've been thinking a lot on this cruise after really John Delancey's show with Tapestry as an episode, right? And going back and seeing like, hey, if I didn't make these regrettable decisions, I would have never ended up doing these great things. And I think there's potentially some nods to that in this episode. I mean, you have the entire cast outside of Sam really struggling with this, right? And Sam is struggling, but she's got this interesting perspective that she has never really had trauma other than getting hit by this glitch. And at the end of the episode, what you realize is Sam is not equipped to handle some of these emotions because she didn't have the traumas and regrets of childhood. And so she is, in some respect, lending her strength to the rest of the cadets in this, I guess, ignorant, naive, not in a bad way, but just like a fresh sort of perspective.
The childlike wonder.
Exactly.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
And they're able to cling on to that. And that's kind of the spark of life that they need to push forward. And then at the same time, she ends up getting the opposite end of that and needing to go back and learn how to handle some of these deeper emotions and fight through her own traumas and regrets to be able to, to fully process it with the rest of the crew.
That was something we'll get to a little bit later, but it was labeled as resilience, is what the makers had talked about, and the doctor talked about a little bit later in the episode, which we'll get to. But yeah, some of that trauma processing, not there. Griffin, when we as we get ready to move on to the next piece here, I want to get your reaction to what we saw here. And again, and I hate to continue to reference where we are, but it would be crazy not to, right? We're on Star Trek The Cruise. We're fully immersed in the universe, and
like we're watching the actual show with the actual cast in the show.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
And we're talking about the show with the cast for an hour, 3 hours before watching the show.
Yeah.
So you're pretty connected to what's happening. And then you're talking to them again for another hour the day after the show.
For sure. And not only that, but as you had mentioned, we saw one of John Delancey's.
Getting hungry.
Yeah, there's that cookie monster again. We saw one of John Delancey's favorite episodes from TNG in Tapestry, so much so that he wrote and composed with the Curtis Institute of Music an entire musical dedicated to this episode.
Yeah. To be fair, he was inspired by a shout out. What is it? The app where you pay money to get a thing back?
A cameo.
A cameo from somebody with terminal cancer who described the TNG episode Tapestry, where Picardo goes back in time and really wishes that he, didn't clean the clock of the Nausicaans and regret. And then that was explored. And so the symphony was about that episode. Great.
And it was phenomenal. Did tying these two together, do you feel like Sam had some of this tapestry kind of threads woven into the story here a little bit?
I don't know about Tapestry with Sam. Hearing this conversation about this episode, I loved the episode Sam earlier in the season. And that character, Sam, great character, very compelling, fresh set of eyes. Sam sees everything from a fresh set of eyes, which is what I love about that character in this episode. Great name, and also just a phenomenal character overall around, right? I now realize that Sam is the loser of this episode. There's always a loser. Sam's the loser of this episode.
Tell me why.
Because she is the vehicle. They used Sam as a vehicle to highlight Tarima's trauma. They used Sam as a vehicle to help get the Doctor to where they wanted that character to get with this one-off Voyager episode from season 3 of Voyager. She was a storytelling component rather than really focusing on her actual problem and finding a solution to that actual problem, which is a big deal. This is an episodic TV series, allegedly, and this is one component which is not. It's very serialized. She's been going through these glitches now for 1, 2, 3, end of one, and then second, now this third episode.
Sure.
So it's a big deal. The ship's going down. Did you hear that?
I heard
we hit an
the
iceberg.
big clang.
We just hit an iceberg. So
listen, if history is any indication, we still have hours. We're fine.
So you're right. not at all to be contrarian. I think that all the points that were previously discussed are valid. It's just that Sam was really used to tell these other characters' stories in this episode, and I don't think that was necessarily the right choice for that character. I think it could have been done differently and better.
Beck disagrees. Let's hear her rebuttal, and then I want to move into that vehicle of Sam's storyline.
I don't disagree of how her character was used, in a sense. But the thing about Sam is that she's been the anchor for everybody else. She has been
a martyr, and now she's a martyr.
No. She's been the constant, and you remove that constant, and then you realize how shaky and rocky everything else around her is. And
variable.
Yeah, like, come on. Come on. No, like, and I think that's...
No, thank you, Chicago. Well done.
We should not have
You
showed
were
him where that button
one
was.
button. He was shown
It's
one
my
button.
favorite button. Too much power. It's the closest one to me.
No, but I wouldn't put that as the loser. I almost put that as like she is like the example and the guiding light in a sense that they didn't realize was there. Like they even say like without Sam, like we don't really know like what we're
I completely agree
so
with
I don't
you.
disagree with
You don't know how important Sam is until Sam is gone.
And then like you didn't realize that she really was that glue truly holding them together because she was the constant in their friendship. And so pulling her out of that, her holding them together, you realize the rest of them just fall apart.
Well, and they discussed that. In
Yeah.
fairness, there was 2 different times that I remember that the cadets started to wander. Right? Why haven't they told us about Sam? We should know something by now. Hey, and Genesis is like, don't wander. Don't let your minds do that. Don't spiral out of control.
Here's a toothbrush.
Don't spiral out of control. So there was a lot of concern. Bubba Joe, let's transition now to what did indeed happen with Sam and her journey with the Doctor.
We both had 2 different facial expressions that just occurred there.
Yeah. Listen, this is where the conversation is going to get real. So glad that we've got time.
Buckle up.
Yeah, buckle up on this one, folks. All right, so
I was gonna say you want to go here as opposed to talking about the typical why don't you love me because I'm drunk. You don't want to go there yet?
Oh, we could go there first if you prefer to go there.
Let's go there.
On
Let's
that.
go there first. That's fine because this will be a
I'm
short.
ready to have a different opinion than the rest of you.
This will be a short piece, so that's fine, Bubba. All right, Tarima's back. Tarima's very upset. She's very standoffish, but she gets into something she shouldn't get into, and she sends the classic "you up" text. All right?
What do you mean? No. She is very severely traumatized, and she's trying to find different ways to cope and heal, none of which are working.
Obviously.
And so, that's not her messing up and trying the wrong
alcohol.
thing. Right. I mean, no, but what do you expect her to do?
I'm not saying that what she did was wrong or inappropriate even. I don't know that I fully like where this scene went. I think I understand why they did it that way, but I hate this constant conflict between Caleb and Tarima. I know it's a teenage hormone show, and I know that there's going to be angst and love in this relationship. I almost feel, Bubba, like the writers are dooming this relationship from the start. Every possible thing that can go wrong between Caleb and Tarima happens. There's always conflict. They fail to communicate effectively. I don't like it. Okay, I didn't like this scene. I didn't like this scene at all. If you just want me to go there, Bubba, go ahead with yours. We'll go down the line. Beck's going to tell me I'm wrong. I don't like.
You just didn't understand it. You're saying I don't like it. It's because you didn't understand it.
Maybe I don't.
Let Bubba have his say here.
Go ahead, Bubba.
I think you're not paying enough attention to what's going on in your kids' lives. Because this is like, I see this
In
on
his what?
repeat.
In my kids'
I
life.
see this on repeat with all
Gauntlet.
of my friends that have kids in high school.
We're listening,
I
Bubba.
bet
We're
if
just
you ask your boys, they're going to be like, "This is real life, Dad. What are you talking about? This is like a documentary." So I think that the do you like me? Do you not?
cookie.
I'm going to get drunk, not want to take advantage of you. Like all of these are very stereotypical, real situations that seem to me to be like they're trying to represent real kids. Now, one could argue, are real kids 2,000 years from now going to be like real kids now? Probably not, because real kids my age are different from real kids 40 years later, 50 years later, 80 years later, in DJ's case. So I think that there is definitely a case to be made that, well, you're not giving teenagers any evolution from 2025 to whatever we're at now, 30 something, right?
right.
So that's probably a fair point to say that you're not giving them any evolution. But this is like the reality that I have experienced from a distance of, the way that people talk to each other and the way they react to each other. And I found this endearing, an endearing vision into 2025 social structure.
Endearing to what or whom?
Not me.
No,
Endearing to reality, right?
Okay.
This is, let's not forget that Star Trek has been a social construct of what is going on at the time.
Absolutely.
Right? And so this is what's going on at the time in young adult lives. And so, like, I felt that this is, maybe endearing is not the right word, but it is definitely a window into that and kind of drawing attention to kind of the absurdity of it when you take a step back and going, maybe there's a better way. Maybe it's not that he doesn't love me because I'm drunk. Like, maybe there's something else to be learned here. And it's like, I think that the absurdity of all this, when you take a step back, when I get to take a step back and go, I get to laugh at my friends' kids, not while in the room after they've left, at the absurdity of the things that they're describing. But it's like, it's so often that it's like it's the same situations over and over again. And it's just like, you're going to be fine. No, I'm not. It's just it. So this window into young adult social structure is, I think, entertaining and funny, kind of.
I offer no rebuttal. Griffin.
Bubba, do you feel as though she came around at the end in her last appearance? Do you feel as though she realized that she was not giving Caleb the proper credit for that drunken scene and saying, "Hey, wait, we're drunk, we can't do this"?
I think no, but I don't think she's holding it against him either. I think that whether she wants to admit it or not, which is another thing that, even adults, like, I'm not going to admit that I was wrong. Whether she wants to admit that or not, I think she's willing to, that was a moment, like, and it's a moment in the past and we're going to move past it and whatever. Right?
Well, this is my, I agree. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I think I probably have my own opinion on it. And that's that you have to remember, when you're going through something, when you're traumatized, days seem like months. Time literally stands still. And the fact, I'm just going to go back, the fact that mother trucker didn't send anything to her for 2 months and let her sit and stew and fester and create problems which existed or didn't exist, she has no clue because she's completely disconnected at home, was the trauma. I think that action on Caleb's part may even, some could argue, be more traumatic for her than what she actually went through on the bridge of the Miyazaki. And so when she comes back, see, the typical bro thing to do, not that anybody on this panel did this, was watch this episode and watch her kind of blow by him and go, what's her problem? But that's probably what you're going to get out of a lot of the male audience here. When in reality, it's him who had the problem and continues to have the problem. He has never been the supportive anchor that a partner in a relationship needs to be in order to be successful. And Tarima has been set up for failure by this character, Caleb.
Yes.
From essentially
the
day
start.
one. And it's not enough to like a girl. You have to actually care for a girl. And those are two completely different things.
You have to talk to her. Like,
correct.
No, I agree with you. I think that, as I spoke last week, Caleb has no game. Like, he's so bad at this. And
it's not even about game though. It's just about
so
being a good
Decent
person
human,
and
right?
being a good
boyfriend,
being a good friend or boyfriend or whatever. So I felt so bad for Tarima's character in this whole entire episode because, and see, I'm sure I'm probably stealing Beck's center. I don't want to be, but like when you're in that position, particularly as a female, oh my gosh, how many times are you called the B from 23? How many times are you the unreasonable one? How many times are you, oh, why can't she just get over it and move on? Or why is she being so argumentative and so abrasive? I mean, this is the product of trauma and not getting the support and the help that is needed. Most importantly, it is simply having somebody listen to you. And what did the chancellor do? She deported her to the wrong side of the classroom and didn't even get the feedback from the student before doing it. So from the second she set foot back on campus, if you will, who was there? Nobody was there for her except for Sam. But Sam gave her the medicine that she didn't know that she needed, and it tasted very yucky. It tasted like the Green Death NyQuil. She got Green Death NyQuil. And she didn't like it, and she rebelled against it. But she did come around at the end of the episode because she had enough time to process, I think, how Sam was there for her. But I really want to hear the female perspective on this because, I mean, it's required in order to fully understand what's happening here.
Please, Beck.
There's a lot to unpack, even just in that one singular quick scene. So you look at Caleb. Caleb's not equipped at all, right?
He's an idiot.
Sure, but also, like, have you ever been a young kid and one of your friends in school went through a loss and they're going through something and you don't know how to respond to that? You don't know what to say to them. You don't know how to approach them.
Sure.
You know, I've been around many people who have, I've had a lot of loss in my life. I've been around other people who have had loss in their lives. And the first thing that they do is they feel disconnected because nobody knows what to say to them, how to approach them. But then on the other side, you're a person of, I just don't know what to say. And so I'm just not going to say anything at all. And the first thing they tell you is don't do that. Saying something is better than nothing. But then you don't want to say the wrong thing. And so you see Caleb.
Literally what Caleb said in that scene in the beginning. I just didn't say anything because I didn't want to be wrong.
Exactly. And so you see him learning this 15 years later than everybody else learns it, right? Like he's never had to do this before. So we know where Caleb's at, and it's not really by choice. He just doesn't know any better, right? So I can't really fault him for not being equipped and being guided in that way. And then you look at Tarima, and from the second you see her, she has no light. Like every single other episode we've seen her, and she is just so full of emotion,
she's
and
so
her
numb,
eyes are
totally
so
numb.
bright, and
Yeah.
just even like the way they shoot her in the other episodes, like she's just vibrant, full of color. And in this episode, every time we see her, it's dark.
Very pale.
Flat.
Every time we see her, it is dark. She's lost that spark, that will. And I know there's part of that thinks, my choice has been taken away from me. But I mean, you got to remember also in the last episode, we talked several times about the fact that Tarima and Caleb have not had a chance to speak. I mean, I almost wonder if part of that is, hey, we've got to have these two also figure it out, right? Like I get the whole back and forth on it not being Tarima's choice. I think it was the right choice. I understand that I would have probably wanted a little bit more conversation there, but also when you are in that position of being the hurting person, logic doesn't make sense to you, right? Speaking from some experience in some areas, when you're going through a deep and dark time, the last thing you want to be told is what to do in anything. Like, you want to feel like you are in control of at least something. But sometimes you being in control of the thing is more harmful than helpful. And having outside perspective to place you there and where you need to be is better. But going specifically to the scene and the drunk scene and all the things, sorry, I know I went on a big roundabout thing. Lots
No, you're
to
making
unpack
perfect
there.
sense. Yep.
She's in the scene. She comes back and she feels like a freak. She feels lonely. She's depressed. She doesn't know up from down. She's drowning within herself. I don't know if there's anybody who can ever say that they have felt so dark and not looked to something to dull the pain, to make the thoughts stop. And for her, it's amplified being, able to being an empath, right? Like, she's just, everything is amplified. So she's looking for something to dull it. And she's going to, the first thing that she can think of to try to distract her from that own feeling of herself. Somebody has to want me. Somebody has to love me. Somebody has to care for me. And it's not necessarily in this moment. It's not meant to be a two-way love conversation. She just wants to have something to feel better and dull the pain for a moment.
I want to agree with you here. And this is why I didn't like this scene, okay?
Oh, but it's so real. It is so real.
It is very real.
I get it. But maybe this is not the right answer. I don't know. But
He's sitting. It's fine.
That's
she
incredibly
wanted
well
him-
acted as
She
well.
wanted him to be there for her,
Oh,
and
yes.
he refused.
Well,
All right. Now I know that there was actions, there was physicality, but he walked away. He could have found a way to navigate that scenario, and that's why I'm saying, like, this to me, just they're constantly set up for failure.
I disagree
in
with
this
you
story.
there. The best thing he could have done was to set that distance there
Yeah.
and not give into what she wanted, because it's not really what she wanted. And
Correct.
he knows that. He could see and know her well enough to be able to read her
This
and be like,
isn't
this
you.
isn't you. You are looking for something to fill this gap right now, and you need to walk away. And that is the best thing
Was
that he could have.
that was the right answer?
That was the
1,000% that was the
I know
right
he's been
answer.
reaching for his microphone a couple times, but
No, I mean, I think it was definitely the right answer. I think, there is, like you were just saying, like you have Tarima in this position where she has no footing left. The one decision that she's made her entire life just got overridden without any consulting of her, right? The one person that she's ever felt like she could connect with in a way that feels safe just completely never said hi for months. And on top of all of that, she's got the brand new inhibitor, which might be giving us some like 7 of 9, like, oh, I hear no voices left in my head. Like, I can't, I'm struggling to figure out where my, emotional projection presence is.
We don't really know what it actually does, though, and if it's worse or better. Probably worse, probably stronger.
yeah.
They did say it was new and improved.
Yeah, more
Yeah.
allows her to
Improved for
control
whom?
things better.
We'll see.
Probably stronger, more controlling, less feeling.
Maybe. And it definitely makes sense then in my head that she would go in and reach out to the person that feels like they should be the closest in her head. And I think there's a couple of important dynamic shifts. The first one is, for most of the series, it feels like we've been watching Tarima through the lens of like, oh, she's got a lot of emotional intelligence. She can help Caleb. But here, there's a little bit of and I'm not going to say a power dynamic shift, because it's not really power, but there's an interpersonal dynamic switch where now Caleb is actually making kind of the mature, grounded decision here. And given he's got a lot more of the framework to do so from the way things shook out. But, Caleb's the one here being like, hey, I can tell you need some space, and that this connection isn't authentic, like you were saying. And I definitely think he made the right decision to do that. And then on the flip side, I think Tarima, over the course of this episode, is finding her footing with friends and not through a lover first, which is also, I think, critically important to just her understanding what it means to be a person, Betazoid or human.
Independent.
I guess I
Trying to be independent.
fully agree and respect all these, but at the end of that scene, he walks out. The person that she called to feel safe walks out of the room. She bursts into tears. She wanted to feel safe. All right. Maybe she was intoxicated. Maybe she didn't communicate that well enough. I still think that he should have tried something to make her feel safe. That's what she was asking for. And she burst into tears when he walks out from what? Abandonment, from pain, from the trauma that.
But it would have gone a different way.
It would.
You know what I'm
You're not
saying?
just gonna sit there and hold hands.
Yeah, like
Correct.
the wanting to. She didn't necessarily want safety in that moment. She
No,
wanted to fill the gap.
She
and
wanted to feel something.
She wanted to feel something, and she's felt so empty and so dull. That would have only gone the wrong way.
Which
so
it's so
it went the way it needed to go.
Exactly. And if you don't see that inhibitor as a metaphor for that Adderall prescription or that Wellbutrin prescription or that lithium prescription, that's exactly what that is.
Sure. Well, let's finish this piece before we move into Doctor and Sam, because as we get towards the end of the episode, she does recognize, and this is where it went too quick for you in your opinion, she does recognize, she comes to some type of resolution. She comes back to the team there at the very end of the episode. She finishes quoting some of the theater piece from Our House, specifically noting, I did, that she made the quote about loving that boy. Everything felt, she talked about this stupid, ugly pillow, which was the pillow?
That part was not a quote from Our Town. She was adapting.
So.
She was adapting the character to what she had been through.
That's right, because the pillow was not. I didn't know about the loving that boy because it was all about a marriage.
But
thing.
you're skipping the scene that she had with Genesis. You don't want to talk about that?
The same drunken scene where she was jealous and insecure about Caleb and Genesis?
Yeah. Did Genesis handle that the same way Caleb did?
I love Genesis. She's got to be my favorite.
Genesis is awesome.
Genesis is so well grounded.
She's emerging as,
and I know
the
that we're
mature
gonna
leader.
and I know that we got a little bit of a I wouldn't say spoiler, but we did find out that we're not going to dive too much deeper into Genesis until next season and her backstory, which makes me a little sad because she is my favorite. But there's not enough time.
There's a lot coming
in the rest of the episodes. But Genesis had yet again a choice, and her choice was, do I help this person that is a potential, I don't want to call rival, because I don't think she views other people as rivals. Like, I think she just weighs her decisions carefully. She sees another human that is struggling and does the same thing that she did with Sam, does the same thing she did with Caleb, does the same thing she did with Darum, and says, I will be this anchor. I will help hold them and lift them up without necessarily condoning certain behavior or coddling, but really just helping them find their path, themselves, leading them, helping them think through it on their own. And she does this in such a loving and caring and gentle way to where Tarima can't even feel as if it's a rivalry anymore, right? She looks at this as a, gosh darn it, you're nice. Come on. There's nothing for them to catfight about. Yeah. It's just not even there.
After after Caleb leaves Tarima, that's when she comes back to the bunk. She does lash out at Genesis for having feelings for Caleb. And Genesis very calmly, says, hey, nothing's going on. He's my friend. Nothing's happened, and I'm here for you. And, and that's where the stupid, ugly pillow comes in.
I must have missed that.
What's that?
I must have missed that lash out.
It was quick.
She comes in real quick, and she gives her this look of jealousy when she first comes in the room, because she leaves Caleb thinking,
why didn't he?
Why didn't he? It must be because of Genesis.
Well, she even said, she said,
and then she talks, and then when the words she uses, again, I agree
can
with
see
you the
why
way that
he
she
chooses you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The words she uses are, I can never be what you are. I can never be the dependable person because of who I am. And I think I think there is a small amount of jealousy, I guess, but I think it is more her admitting her situation in life, of this ability, this weight that she has to carry, and that is never going to let her be the type of person that Genesis is.
Again, I don't see that as an ability. I see that being more a commentary on her drug dependency, but it could go either way.
Sure. Her the weight she has to carry to control this thing that she has, right? Whether it's drug dependency, whether it is whatever. But the weight, she feels like she's never going to be the kind of dependable, accepting, friendly person that Genesis is. And maybe there is just a tiny hint of jealousy there, but I think it was more a realization of maybe I want to be something like that, but I don't think it had to do with Caleb. I think it was just her situation versus what she perceives Genesis' situation is.
See, I don't know. I feel like it did have a lot to do with Caleb there. Now, maybe it wasn't as much jealousy as it is I can't be or I'm not good enough.
Hopelessness.
Yeah,
it was hopelessness.
Because I can definitely see that perspective, Bubba, as in I'm not going to be good enough. But I still think it was directed towards the boy she loves, because she specifically says,
it's not about the boy, it's about herself.
I get that, but in that moment, she's drunk. She made the comment, like, Caleb chooses you, or what was the line back? I can see why he chooses you. I mean, that was as much about Caleb as it can possibly be.
No, I for once I think you are right.
Hold on.
No.
Well, add that to the log. One in the books.
No, to be clear,
even a blind squirrel finds a nut occasionally.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're all right.
372 to 1. Go ahead.
No, and I actually think you're all right in this instance, right? Like, she is.
Does that negate my points?
Yes.
Maybe a little bit. But we've seen, episode after episode after episode, she gets easily overwhelmed, right? That inhibitor was kicking it into overdrive in several episodes, right? And we're seeing that come in a little bit here. She's got an inhibitor that's working better. It's not kicking in like as much. It's allowing her to be a little bit more free in her emotions a little bit. And in this moment, I think there really is that, man, this girl is cool. She's got her life together. She's got friends and her friends like her. And I'm the weird freak one. I can't keep myself together. And even with the boy, right? She had Caleb to herself, and then she's sensing things. She's sensing this bond, whether it's, just a good bond, romantic or not. She's sensing something that she doesn't have with Caleb. So there's also that feeling of, gosh, I wish I were you. I wish I could be like you. You're pretty, you're funny, you're smart, and goodness gracious, you're nice. Like, I want to be like that, but I can't. And she's wallowing inside of herself, not just about Genesis, because Genesis just happens to be who she's talking to in the scene. And yes, she's got that little bit of jealousy of wanting to be her, but there's also just that sense of, I want to be like what all of you are, and I just can't. I am in this hole. I'm in
different.
This pit. I'm different.
Oh, I think it's super important to note on what you're saying there that and there's definitely some of this that is me having heard Zoe speak recently on similar things, but we have potentially the most powerful, highest emotional ability Betazoid of all time, and every single moment of it, she's viewing that as a weakness.
Yeah.
She is just looking at her incredible emotional range and her incredible ability to channel and feel emotions as a weakness. And she is now looking at others who are not as passionate, not as in tune with all of these emotions, and saying, I wish I could do that. Maybe if I'm a little more limited. I think it's really interesting to note that her greatest strength is being made out to be her greatest weakness by herself right now.
So let's fast forward to the end of Tarima's journey here. As we mentioned just a second ago, Bubba, where we were going before, you wanted to talk about the drunk scene. So we get to the end here. She paraphrases our town, talks about the stupid, ugly pillow, the boy that she loves. She's coming to some sort of peace or some sort of realization.
Mirroring Emily's Act 3 speech.
What is that moment of realization? Did she forgive Caleb? Is she still in love with this boy? Is she forgiving him for walking out that night, or does she acknowledge silently that was the right thing to do? Where does she stand with Caleb by the end of this episode?
This is the part I didn't like because they sped through it.
Would
They
you
didn't
like
really
me
answer
to
it.
answer the questions in order? Or
Yes, go ahead, Bubba.
What do you got, Bubba?
Did you write them all down?
I did not.
Oh, no.
I was told
It's
there
all
would be no math.
It's all one question.
Um,
Where do we find Tarima at the end of this episode with regard to Caleb?
So again, I think you are continuing to thrust everything she does is about Caleb. And I think
They're the love. That's the love principle of this whole
But she is
story.
more
You
than
narcissist.
her love
she
interest.
is more than that. All of this is internal weight that she is putting on herself. Beck was just describing this. I completely agree with that. This is her realizing she doesn't have to be like Genesis. She probably still loves Caleb. That wasn't the point of her speech. The point of her speech was to say, I do not have to be burdened by this. It's still going to be something I have to think about, but this does not have to be everything I am. I do not have to press all of these emotions down. I can just exist in the moment and appreciate people for who they are. Maybe she's in love with Caleb. Maybe she wants a fresh start, but this was about Tarima believing in Tarima.
Exactly like she told Tilly at the end about the village and the stars.
We need to exist and move on.
No, that's a small piece of it. That's a small little thing. We are the village. The stars surround us all.
Okay.
Exactly what she said with Tarima there, with Tilly at the end. Bubba's exactly right, in my opinion.
All right. Any other thoughts?
I have a thought, but it has nothing to do with this. I'm going to grab my next cup of coffee, and I want you guys to take the next run of this piece, because that was the piece that I was very excited about. I'll be right back, but y'all continue this.
Coffee it up.
I think
I am also very excited about coffee.
Yes, I'll grab some more.
All right. So, and we have spent a great deal of time on this because we are now an hour, a little more than an hour into the show, and we haven't even gotten to what was my favorite part, which is Sam and the Doctor.
How could that be your favorite part? That was my most frustrated. Another cookie gone. I am the most frustrated by that.
So let's set the stage. She's got cascading failures. She says, "My makers can fix me." We go to Cask.
I have no problem with that.
I'm just going through it. We go to Cask. We got the Doctor. We've got
Who's we? Who goes to Cask?
We've got the Doctor. We've got Captain Ake. We've got Sam.
Why is Captain Ake even
Why
there?
is Captain Ake there?
Why is Captain Ake even there, Bubba Joe? We can't figure it
Chicago,
out.
why is Captain
I hope
Ake
that
there?
showed up in stereo. For
It
the
did.
audience.
I'm sure it did.
I'm pretty sure the captain is always supposed to go on the away team's missions. Like,
That's never the case.
I'm pretty sure that like Picard goes on like 80% of the missions he has no business being
Absolutely.
on, just to provide
Never challenged about
captain
that.
leadership. And I think Ake's doing the same thing here.
Excellent.
Sorry, Bubba Joe, you were saying I was right?
So we've got
No.
Ake, we got the Doctor, we got Sam flying to the photonic homeworld of Cask. We get there. Long story short, Sam is scanned. She is deemed defective, unrepairable, and the makers terminate her.
Because it's all the humans' fault, and they know that they can't be trusted. And then, boom, experiment over.
Experiment over. The makers terminate Sam, which was kind of a shocking moment there, and surprising to me, I guess, in a little bit. But then begins the exploration of the Doctor's grief. And you and I talked a lot about this after the episode, Griffin, and we spent over an hour talking about this piece. And I appreciated, I liked, and maybe this is fan service, I like the fact that we called back the Doctor's holographic family.
I want to start by talking about what I did love about it, which is the acting.
Bob
Picardo
is a genius.
That might be his best performance in a Star Trek role.
Oh.
Period. And that's saying something, because he's had a lot of incredible moments and
he
scenes.
was 5-star.
And, you can't take anything away from that, but that's why I'm so mad and why I so do not like the choices that were made around it. Number one, anytime you dramatically change the look and feel of a presentation with the purpose of telling your audience how they should feel automatically comes off as derivative, insulting, and unnecessary. There's no reason for that whole entire production to be in black and white. That was dumb. That took away from his acting. That did not in any way enhance it, or nor did we need that, oh yeah, we're in black and white now because he's feeling sad and he's in a dark place. I mean, that was a bad decision. That was a production bad decision. I do not like it.
I don't necessarily disagree. I feel like it was definitely there. Maybe it was patronizing, but it was certainly there to experience or to relay the hopelessness, the darkness, the pain, the sorrow, the regret, because later the moment we get color back is the moment that things change for the Doctor, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. But I observed that on the second watch through with you earlier, was that it was black and white until the moment that we jumped that hurdle and could love again.
Yeah, it reminded me of just like a Tobey Maguire movie about the 1950s. I'm so glad that they came up with that unique and original idea.
So we had the black and white. Let's move past that to the story piece, because there was another piece of this that didn't work for you. I liked, or on the surface, I liked the lore of calling back the Doctor's holographic family.
I did too. Anytime you reference Star Trek lore and reward fans of series for participating, continue to participate, normally you can't go wrong.
Normally you can, but Bubba, you called this at the beginning of our podcast series that the Doctor has loved and lost. It wasn't just his holographic family, it was the entire crew of Voyager. I mean, 800 years. He's lost Janeway, he's lost 7 of 9, he's lost Chakotay, he's lost...
That's exactly the point Bubba Joe made, and rightly so.
He did. He's lost everybody. And Bubba, you made this prediction that the Doctor was grumpy, he was cynical, he did not want that mentor role because he had experienced so much pain in the past. So let me ask, was it fulfilling, or was it tropish that the whole reason that the Doctor was revealed to be so grumpy this entire season was because of his holographic family, but not anybody else? There was no mention of Voyager tonight. There was no mention of his castmates, no mention of 7 of 9 or his other students or his captain.
That's your question. Let him answer it.
So I don't think you have to mention that, right? He does talk about how he's, lived such a long time with Ake before we even get to this point. And maybe I just remember it. Like, I thought he said it was like his curse or his situation or something. That I think that is in the forefront of his mind. Yes, his family, of course, that is, he doesn't want another family that he can lose. But it's not just the holographic family. It's all of these relationships that he has had, and they, I have no idea. We don't really know a lot about what happened in between Voyager, like we'll say the death of the last Voyager cast to now, right? There's probably 750 years in between that time frame, where he made other relationships and they would die, or that, and so I think that there is, yes, the holographic family, sure, but I think that this is really about not letting anybody get close to him because he no longer wants to feel that pain.
And I totally accept that.
To deal with those emotions.
I totally accept that, except when conversing with the makers, the reason for all of this was Bell. Did that work for you?
Sure. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. Like, it's a reason. Like, it's, if you ask me 4 questions and want me to answer one of them, it's the same situation. What's your reason? Well, it's Bell and Janeway and Chakotay and Kes and Neelix and, no, you state the number one reason, and that can be the number one reason, but I don't think it's the only reason.
Griffin?
Well, here's the thing. Does he have a good working relationship with Ake or no? They get along.
Sure.
They get along. Yes.
They're respectable.
I would not say that they're friends.
I agree with that.
We don't know if they're friends or they're not friends. They seem to be. They seem to be knowledgeable of each other, and they seem to work well together, and so on in the past. I think that if you were going to take this play, this is what it just doesn't add up. The math ain't mathing with me on this at all, because as I agree with your premise, Bubba, the doctors decided to turn off his heart because he has lost too much and he doesn't want to experience that again. But it can't just be against the photonic who you happen to meet. It has to be, I need, if you're going to go back to day one, please state the nature of the medical emergency, and I have no emotions at all. That would be one thing. But that's just not how this character has been portrayed. And furthermore, it can't be just about Bell and his holographic family, because we saw many over 100 plus additional adventures with the Doctor on Star Trek Voyager, where he was not depressed and sad and grumpy for having lost his holographic family. He flourished in the years that followed with his opera and his singing and his developing personalities and his getting married and so on and so forth. That why are we back to being sad again unless it's about the whole of it all? But that's not the story that they told.
It's not. But I would counter that with potentially, and Chicago, I'll get your point on this too. I would counter that with maybe he hasn't been grumpy and cynical for 700 years, because he does mention when he was speaking to Sam's terminated form that from the moment she stepped on campus, he was flooded with these memories. And I'll have to go back and watch episode 1 again. Did the Doctor come into this show cynical, grumpy, and tired of life, or did that occur the moment he saw Sam?
The second one, he was excited about the drama club. He was all happy-go-lucky. He was, I'm the Doctor, I'm doctoring, and then, you're the hologram.
I'm jumping the gun here.
No, go ahead, Bubba.
Totally cynical in the way he was providing vaccines and treatment to people. Remember his interaction with Caleb, which was well before his interaction with Sam.
So
Or
that, Bubba, would support Griffin's argument that why was it Bell if it wasn't Sam that reminded him of Bell? Chicago, break this one down.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a good portion of it where, he's getting reminded of his lost daughter, and this is the first time potentially that it has actually hit this hard, that there has actually been, somebody that resembles in his mind his daughter so much. A complete side note, but really disappointed in the photonics engineering department. The fact they couldn't fix her is a little disappointing, especially with like 5 year to 3 day ratio in technology. It feels like they could get a lot more done there, but
that'd be a couple thousand millennia ahead of them,
I'm
right?
saying they've got to have insane
What have they been
technology. But yeah, I think it's interesting here because the interaction between Ake and the Doctor is, well, so we have these interactions in Voyager between Janeway and the Doctor back when he was really just, please state the nature of the medical emergency.
Yeah.
And, Janeway's kind of teaching him about humanity and about, how, as he's developing new subroutines, kind of how to navigate these emotions. And he's gone through potentially a ton of loss since then with the burn. But also has not really had that type of guidance. And, you were saying we don't know kind of the level he's on with Ake. I think this is, if not before now, one of the first great connection pieces where, as a Lanthanite who has lived hundreds of years, she's now able to provide some almost Janeway-like perspective where he's able to receive that, this is how you deal with an infinite lifespan, and this is how you deal with the loss that comes along the way. And I forget who said it. I think it was a comedian that I saw a show of a few weeks ago, but he said, grief is the price we pay for love. And I think that's both beautiful and the thing that the Doctor is relearning here. If the last couple hundred years have hardened his heart a little bit.
Oh, it breaks my heart. I can't deal with it. It's another cookie.
Where the plate is running low. So this, I don't know. I feel like I could be emotionally satisfied with it being the holographic family. But I kind of see your point structurally that, and Bubba supports that he was grumpy before we ever met Sam. Yet the story with the makers was all about Bell, and this is where it fell apart for you, I suppose, right?
Yeah, I mean, just the more I sit with it and I live with it, I probably am just too close to Voyager, and I don't want to see any of those characters suffer. And it's like meeting your old high school friend 20 years later, and he's a bum on the street. It's like, man, you were number one, and you were the valedictorian. What happened to your life? Now here's Grumpy Doctor. All of a sudden, look at all the adversity he overcame. I mean, he was the head of this medical institute. He was this, he was that. He was reiterated over and over and over again. This is a lauded historical figure who has been around Starfleet longer than almost anybody at this point in time. And he's depressed over a holographic family that we saw for 10 minutes.
Well, I mean, that was a really important episode for him. But it could also, listen, to draw a reference, we could see something like we saw in Picard season 1, where just with the passage of time, growing older and growing wiser, you start to realize what you missed out on. You start to realize what, went wrong. Maybe a little bit of a tapestry thread there, a little bit, because even Picard did that. Or maybe it was season 2, but the whole premise was Picard realizing that he never loved, and maybe this cynicism with the Doctor wasn't present in seasons 4, 5, and 6 of Voyager, but maybe it's happened as he's grown older.
Or
he named Picard, so
or I mean, it could be the grumpy subroutines got installed at the end of Voyager, and it's just taken 900
my
years,
God.
and they're dominating his program now. I mean,
oh Lord have
I
mercy.
don't think it's implied that. Oh, sorry. I don't think it's implied that he's been grumpy this whole time, though. Like, I think they made a point of it being when he saw Sam and when he first experienced that back and forth, these old wounds that he's already sewn shut in his own way are now reopened, and he's having to face this in a different way.
Well, Bubba pointed out that even before we met Sam, and Griffin pointed that out as well, before we even met Sam, he was grumpy with the cadets. When he was given, like in the very first minutes of the first episode, he was giving the shots and the inoculations to the cadets, and he was grumpy and somewhat sarcastic then. So an interesting thing. But as the story moves forward, all right, we explore the Doctor's trauma, and I do, whatever the source of that particular trauma is, I do again just agree with you, 5-star on Robert Picardo.
The acting was good, but just like the resolution with Tarima.
His resolution,
speeding ticket, total speeding ticket. That's
his
a
resolution
speeding
is
ticket
different.
moment.
No, his resolution took 17 years, Griffin. Like that one I can get behind. Again, this whole time manipulation thing. He decided, he did make a decision quickly, all right, but it was a decision. We had a fork in the road. We had to go, yes, I'm going to do this. No, I'm not. What we didn't see was the 17 years, and we did see it, but 17 years now have passed where he was able to love again.
When they came back at the end, were they holding hands when they walked up, or were they not? Or do you not recall?
Right before that, they were.
Like when they had their 17-year moment and they came back into the academy and we see all the faces turn and acknowledge Sam.
He lets go of that hand and he lets her go.
Were they holding hands?
Not 17-year-old Sam, but in all the other
the last
flashbacks
contact I had recalled was the big hug. Sam was there, and you could tell that was college day, right?
Yeah.
That was the day she was going off to college. That was the day she was going to the academy. That, to me, that's what that spoke to me as, is okay, today's the day.
Maybe I needed that
big,
payoff.
warm embrace.
They just didn't pay me back for the trauma they put me through. They should have been holding hands, walking back into the college together. That would have really solidified this is a new, changed, happy Doctor.
I could see that.
So the imaging there, I have a problem with. The imaging of just showing his daughter and those little clips. Love seeing the clips. I'm not complaining about the clips, but there should have been a little Janeway in there. There should have been the ship flying. There should have been more than just the kid, because really he's grieving the loss of everything.
I can see that.
So
I agree
see,
with
it's
that.
just maybe this is my autistic side just styling. I'm just a little too hyper focused on the doctor.
No.
But it's just like, for God's sakes, tell the story that you're trying to tell.
But like it was, I think the part that I enjoyed about it the most, which I do wish I got more of it, right? But sorry, talking about the cookie. I
As you
think-
should.
You know.
It's a delicious cookie.
I don't know where they all went.
Oh.
Well, you know.
Uh-oh.
But like the thing
Time's
about
up.
the Doctor throughout Voyager is, if you're a fan of the Doctor in Voyager, you see throughout all of the seasons, like, you just want him to have something. You want him to have
Like a name, like a partner,
you want him to
like
have a
whatever.
name. You want him to have love. You want him to have a family. And you see him try to get there
Like forever chasing.
forever, and he never gets there. He's always limited by something or another, and each time there's always a loss, or maybe the other person doesn't reciprocate, or it's literally limited by the fact that he is a hologram or a photonic being versus flesh and blood. And this almost felt like a, hey, let's go back in time and give him what he never got. Everybody else in Voyager got some kind of closure except for the Doctor.
This
And
was
this
his
kind
Steve
of,
Rogers moment.
it kind of felt like they went back and finally gave him that. And I love
He got
that.
Peggy Carter.
I like that part about it. Sure.
Yeah. But I do wish that we did get a little bit more of that. But I
Yeah,
understand
the imaging
why
was
they
off.
did it.
The black and white is an automatic F for me. There's so many things that they should have done differently.
I liked it.
I didn't even notice. So the fact that you have so much like production view.
Are you colorblind?
No, like I noticed that it turned black and white, but never once did I think like, oh, this is an intentional decision to try and like.
Well, it
get me to
was,
feel. And I
though.
understand that that was going on, but like, it was a background feeling for me. You know, it's like
What
when
was
they're.
that feeling?
It felt like to me that Ake was speaking directly to the Doctor's soul, so to speak.
What?
Right? It reminded me of this. It reminded me of the scene in season 3 of Picard when Picard is talking to his son in the Borg collective mindscape, right? Where it's like there's nothing else going on in the background. There's nothing else around us. It's just like really just a heartbeat sound and me and you, and speaking directly to the pain and to the soul of what the Doctor needed to hear there. And then everything got brighter. But I never once did I feel like that was over-engineered production decision to
Was that scene in TNG in black and white?
It was not, but it was
Exactly.
also the Borg. It was entirely green. So, I mean, one color of green versus the one color of gray.
As it should
I don't know
be.
if that's too much different.
We used
but-
color to express emotion. The
The
lack of
feeling was
color
there.
equals a lack of emotion. It's
No.
completely the opposite. Yes, it is.
Well, I'm not negating, I'm saying maybe in this moment, they did a lot of things where the black and white almost illustrated the lack of emotion on purpose, right? Like the lack of attachment there.
Yes,
and
this
then
is
it
exactly what they
turns
said
into
in the
color.
production meeting to make them feel better about their choices. Maybe if it were in a soft focus, maybe if
loved
it
it.
were something else, it's just not.
Nope, I loved it
it's not
because
it for
you
me.
can see, like, visually see the difference there, and even like the way they ended it with Ake with the spotlight, and it just
Okay, all that
All
was great.
went
See,
back to
no,
theater.
now we're you're bringing in other
I thought the
information from other
saturation was
topics
too high
to
at
try
the
to
beginning of
enhance
the
your point,
episode.
which is not correct,
don't worry.
and that's not fair.
I have
Anyone
my own
else feel like
opinions.
the contrast was off in this episode?
This is not
I
a
mean,
shell game, and you
It
are
was a
all playing the shell
saturation.
game with me. And I'm saying right on this point that should not have been, that took away
This is a
from
great cookie.
Bob Picardo's performance.
Let me-
Yes, the cookie is great. The spotlight at the end of the Azake is great. This has nothing to do with what's going on with the poor Doctor and having his moment in
Bubba,
black
let me
and
ask
white.
you, did anybody notice when we got color back?
Of course we
I'm
did.
going to ask this question specifically. Bubba, did we notice when we got color back, and what was that moment?
I'm not upset about their use of color or no color on this episode, like Griffin is. So I was not paying attention to that.
When
Look
did
at
we,
me all you want. You can
when-
all be wrong together. It's
when
okay.
did we get color back, Chicago?
We got color back when he started caring again. When
Yes.
he was after he decided to be a parent, when he decided to step
love.
up to the challenge and face his own traumas and love again. Yes.
And hope resurged. This is
Hope.
and again, this goes back to exactly what we got to talk to Zoe Steiner about this week. All right. the whole undertone of this entire season has been about rebuilding hope in the Federation, rebuilding hope in its cadets and its officers through Starfleet Academy. That's what she talked about for nearly an hour with you, Beck, was about hope. I totally understand and respect the trope that you think this is, but I don't know that it was horribly misused. I mean, it might have been very traditional and maybe even a creative ripoff. I would go down that road, but it did convey the feeling of hopelessness, of soullessness.
Bob
of
Picardo
loss.
didn't need it. He didn't need it.
Maybe not.
It was
I
a
agree.
distraction that he did not need.
He
to tell
was
that
brilliant.
story.
He was absolutely
He
brilliant.
simply didn't need it.
But I did love what I did love about the lack of color is not the lack of color itself, but when we got color back was the moment that his heart grew 3 sizes.
Yeah, they fell in love with that idea in pre-pro too. That's why they ended up using it for sure. It's so the actor did. You gotta see who's in the scene. Do we need a gimmick to tell the story, or can our talent tell the story? Can our writers tell the story? The writers told a good story. The actor told a great story.
He was phenomenal.
If the writing's there and the acting's there, then clearly they weren't trying to use the black and white to tell the story. It was just an icing on top. You can't have both. If you admit
Maybe
that the
it was
writing and
like-
the acting was already giving you that feeling and that emotion so well conveyed, then you have to admit that the black and white was not the way they were trying to do that. It was just a part of the cocktail.
Well, if we ever find ourselves at a panel with the director of this episode, my question will not be, why did you decide to make that scene in black and white? My question will be, why do you feel you needed to make that scene black and white? Because those are two very different questions. I have a problem with it.
That is a fair question. So we see, let's get ready to wrap up. We're well beyond our time. The Doctor chooses to love again. We see that Sam has been repaired now with 2 sets of memories. I remember when we were watching this together, you even kind of said, oh, she's going to be different. She's going to be different. Then we saw her face. We feel like she's not different.
Who's going to be different is the Doctor.
Let's talk about the outcome for both of these characters, both the Doctor, Sam, and maybe Ake. Probably not. Let's focus in on Sam and the Doctor first. What changes moving forward? Bubba, you go first. Pick one and tell me what changes moving forward.
I don't understand the question.
How are these characters changed now? The Doctor has chosen to let go of the past, or at least acknowledge his past and love again, take a new chance on life with Sam as his adoptive daughter now. Sam is coming back to the Academy with
A childhood.
a whole new neural network, okay, which is the whole reason she couldn't be repaired in the first place. So does this mean that she is different? Is her childhood? Listen, the whole setup of this was that she had no childhood. She came into the Academy as a young, naive, not knowing much. She kind of joked that she was 4 days old or 4 weeks old in the first episode, whatever. Will this childhood change who Sam is? And maybe more importantly, Bubba, does this change the stature of the Doctor now?
I mean, sure, but I don't know that they're going to write it that way. Like, we're not going to have any idea of how they're going to write it, but I don't think that Sam was such an integral character to the social network that was being developed that if they abruptly change her, that is going to be bad, or at least challenging for the show. I don't think that they're going to change her. I think she is going to come back and be the eager, expressive, overexpressive self that she always was. They're going to write her the way that they've written her for 8 episodes.
Okay.
And I don't see a reason to change it. I think that, this is the Sam that we want.
It is
I think
the Sam
the Doctor
we want.
is.
It
Go
is
ahead.
the Sam we want, but this show has certainly demonstrated that they're not willing to shy away from social conflict. Griffin is it possible to be the same person, not having a childhood and then living 17 years completely differently? Are you even able to be the same person? Which I know is a really weird question, but I mean,
Well, she'll come back with a whole new lived experience. Her original 280-day program had fulfilled its original purpose,
fantastic.
and it could not be repaired. She now has a new lease on life with a whole new childhood, raised by a apparently a creepy, depressed hologram.
Apparently.
So
See, I can
thank you.
I can tell that the show is nearing its end here.
So, of course, that's going to change Sam. I think that
It has to, right?
Yeah, and we're certainly going to see. We know we're going to see a Doctor who is back to being the season 4 through 7 happy-go-lucky. Look at my hollow photos. If they don't write a scene where the Doctor wants to have Ake sit down and look at 5,000 different photos of Sam growing up, only to have Sam try to escape with some sort of made-up emergency to take her away from the bridge because she's sick of looking at these damn photos. Boy, will that be an opportunity lost. How many times that happened to poor Janeway? Look at my hollow photos. Oh, hello. I think the Borg are coming. Hold on. We're going to get to the bridge. Sorry, Doctor.
I think we're definitely going to get the Doctor that we want, right? The Doctor that we all expected at the end of Voyager.
Nay, sir. The Doctor that we need.
Well, Beck, we did, in fact, this week get a little bit of a leak on how the Doctor is going to be for the remainder of this season and throughout season 2. And since it was revealed on the ship, do you want to? She doesn't want to. She's going to have me do it.
Beck hates leaks.
Yeah, Beck hates them. No, Bubba, to your point, Bob Picardo himself literally stated that this is the turning point for the Doctor. Okay, this now was the emotional catalyst for what he needed back, and said that this is his turning point. That the Doctor we see throughout season 2 even is going to be a completely different character. So, Bubba, you may get that payoff that you're looking for with the Doctor. We don't know how he's going to be different. We assume we know he's going to be different.
Well, we already see it in his smile. I think that might have been the first time we've seen the Doctor smile in Starfleet Academy, was at the end of this episode, seeing Sam interact with her long-lost friends.
Papa.
How many thousand conversations did the Doctor and Sam have in those 17 years about the students that she was friends with?
Yeah.
Ad nauseum, right?
Yeah.
So to see her rejoin them and that being that proud Papa moment, I did not get the handhold walking back into school that I wanted.
But you got the smile.
But I did get the smile, the look back smile. I wish she would have looked back at him. Why didn't she look back at him? You see, these choices. I gotta write an application. I gotta get on the show. These are very important, minute little details that you're missing that were not previously missed in previous Star Trek franchises that tell eons worth of stories. She should have looked back at him for that smile, and she did not. Why?
I actually agree with that. That would have been a really good moment. A look back, a smile of gratitude. Thank you, Dad. I love you, Dad.
While being hugged. Probably by Genesis or Karima. One of the two. Tarima, take your pick.
I like that. I like that. Beck, wrap up here with Sam, the Doctor. Is there anything else more to be said with regards to how we get them back at the end of this episode and what happens moving forward?
First off, just big shout out to Picardo, because from the very first episode, we were all calling out, like, it is very evident in his acting that he's just not 100%, and having this episode, it's almost, it confirms what we were all feeling, right? Something's not quite.
There's something about the Doctor.
Something about the Doctor is not quite there. So, like, hats off to Picardo for being able to show that to us through his acting without
especially with
it
the
being
not
written
hold hand.
in.
How he handled that not hold hand.
Exactly. Like, there was just
in Act 2.
I had to huge props there. But also, like, for Sam enters into episode 1 just wanting the Doctor's approval. It's her idol. And, like, to be able to come out of this, not just like having the having just the not attention, that's not quite the word, but the acknowledgement, but having the love. You know what I'm saying? Like, and she's also, man, hats off to her too. Like, she did such a good job throughout this entire series so far of being that specific anchor. And then you don't even know, like, it really goes to show you that sometimes the happiest go lucky people are suffering on the inside and they just don't.
That little trauma loop that they showed in Act 1. Hats off to the writers there, because we learned and you gasped.
With her.
Ooh, the Doctor was part of her trauma.
Yes,
what?
It goes all the way back to this is where I thought I was going to find my initial acceptance, my initial, like belonging, and immediately gets written off, right? Like it's just, and that has stuck with her the entire time. And every time she's
It
reached her
hit the
hand
doctor
out,
too. I mean, he saw that. It hit him too. It was like a moment of realization of like, I have
done this.
Yeah. He was directly responsible.
So moving forward, I don't know. It's really nice. Like we'll be able to see. We've also seen Sam throughout each episode go like have all these questions and not understanding, and they acknowledge that in this one, saying she was never given the ability to process this. So I'm looking forward to seeing how she goes through the future of having like not just that free spirited, happy go lucky life, but also being able to understand and process now. And who better to learn from than the doctor, right? Like just.
For sure.
He's lived with humans 900 years, so I'm excited.
Chicago, final thoughts on Life of Hearts.
Yeah, I mean, exactly what you said, Beck, and I think to Bubba Joe's point as well. I mean, Sam's gonna have all the tools. She was already, a constant point of stability emotionally, a constant point of optimism and positive energy for the cadets. And now she's coming back with that same, exuberant light up the room smile, but also 17 years of lived experiences and resilience and problem solving and troubleshooting techniques, so to speak.
And what has the doctor taught her in those 17 years? Probably a lot.
More than we can get in the hugs goodbye. So I'm sure we'll start to see a lot of.
I hope we do.
A lot of the doctor's passed on wisdom and some of those tools come into play.
Maybe she
in
wants
the
to be
future
a doctor
episodes.
now.
Maybe she'll join the opera club.
Hey,
maybe he'll finally have her in opera club. My last question we'll go through real quick. I like usually one or two of these rapid fire questions. Last question, Bubba Joe, we'll start with you. What the hell happened to Jaden this episode? Oh, yeah, out of cookies. Show's almost over. It's fine. Just hang in there. What happened with Jaden? Bubba Joe, what a weird thing. A Klingon gets a cold and we send him home for the week?
Not the right
2
look.
weeks? 3 weeks? What?
Not the right look.
What?
I thought I said this right at the beginning.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Well, what did you say?
Remind the cat what you said, please.
So it's like he had some other commitment on another show that he had to go film. It's like, all right, we're writing you out of this episode. Come on back when you're done. We'll write you in a scene or something.
Yeah.
I don't accept that.
Why? That's exactly what happened with Tilly for this whole season.
Exactly what happened.
Well, if that is true, I'm going to call out the writer's room for handling that in the absolute worst way possible.
Oh, Bobby from production? You got a note for Bobby?
Here's a take.
Yeah, listen, you gave plenty of notes on production. This is mine.
Oh.
I hate sending the Klingon home because he had a sneeze.
Bobby, you got to get that contract locked down, buddy.
Okay, you'll have to figure something else out. Okay, that was if that is true, that's terrible.
It's social commentary on the fact that now after COVID, we all send everyone home with a common cold, when before COVID, you would just go to school anyway.
I think the only thing there, and I agree, I didn't like that Jaden was not there.
It made him weak. The Klingon with the cold can't be in class? What?
No, I think though, the only saving grace there is the fact that we've already seen that Jaden's had to go through other types of going through trauma already on the show. We had a whole entire Klingon episode.
And never missed class.
True, he never missed class. So maybe there's also that piece of it too. He is able to function, I guess, or go through specific things, and these other cadets have not quite had to go through it. So maybe there's a piece of that we were supposed to get from it. He's a little bit more experienced. He can handle this sort of
transformative moment.
Yeah, it could have been that, but
weak moment.
If that is the case,
I don't like it.
That was not. It didn't come across that way.
No,
it came across
like
as, actually, we don't have any lines for you, so.
Go
We'll
eat some warrior stew.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Warrior stew for you.
All right.
No soup for you.
Last
What
question.
if,
We're
DJ,
getting
would it
into
make you
episode
feel
9.
better
Hold on, Bubba's talking. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Bubba.
DJ, would it make you feel better if in a future episode there's a throwaway line where they go, well, yes, but if you catch the Klingon flu, you could die, or something like that? Would that make you feel better?
If they offer a reasonable explanation, then yes, I'll feel better. For example, it took us 8 episodes to get the payoff on the doctor's question. Okay, if there's a payoff here somewhere, Bubba, I'm fine with it. But the way that they set it up today is a real enigma for me. As a standalone, I don't like it. If it pays off, I'll take it back. But where it stands right here in this episode, I thought it was a terrible choice. That's where I'm at with it. Last question, Bubba Joe, episode 9. We're getting to the final 2. What are we going to see? What will episode 9 test? Are we going to see tactics, ethics, relationships? What happens in episode 9?
Yes.
Okay. Chicago.
I'm gonna go with brain games. Something cerebral, but in a tactical way.
Okay. Beck.
Well, we've had 2 episodes without Thok on the screen. So I'm thinking that we're getting some Thok and Chancellor Ake, and I'm excited to see this power dynamic, this fun duo back in action.
Little
hope
chess
so.
match,
Yeah.
so to speak. Griffin, where do we go next week?
It's got to be back to the command level action, just like Beck said. So there's going to be high stakes. There's going to be consequences to decisions. There's going to be unpopular decisions because that's what the show is all about. And it's going to lead us into a cliffhanger for season 2, which just wrapped filming last weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. As a production note, I'll point out next week begins Jonathan Frakes' 2-episode run in the director's chair.
Do we know that? Do we know that he's in both episodes? I don't think that we know that for sure.
I don't think it's confirmed.
But they usually do 2 episodes.
They usually run pairs, and we know that he hasn't directed his episode yet. So we know that there's at least one coming with Frakes, but they do usually run in pairs. The fact that this is going to be episodes 9 and 10, I can absolutely see this being potentially a 2-banger here.
What?
A double.
Okay. I thought you said 2-banger. I've never. What does that mean?
That is what he said. 2-bagger is what he's trying
A
to say.
2-bagger.
It's 3100 slang or 3200 slang.
Yeah, thank you, Chicago. I can absolutely see this being like a 2-part episode or a 1 hour 40-minute.
I thought you were making a commentary on the Genesis Tarima
Oh
Caleb
my
love triangle.
God, that's enough. All right,
So,
that's it. Show's
Do
over.
you want a low probability, super bold, has almost no chance of being true?
Go boldly.
Absolutely, give it to us.
All right. I think that by the end of episode 9, Ake is captured
Captured?
by the big bad.
Kidnapped.
Oh no.
Kidnapped. She
Well,
is
let's hope
captured.
not.
She is taken.
I like
Okay.
this take.
And the cadets will have to try and rescue her in episode 10.
You know what? I'm going to give Bubba credit on this prediction. It seems feasible, and
Of
I will
course it's
point
feasible. She was probably barefoot at the time and couldn't run away.
I'll point out also that Bubba Joe was absolutely right on episode 8 being a doctor episode. So congratulations, Bubba. You win. You win the production, the guest, the prediction pool.
Easy for you to say.
Thank you.
Hearts gets the other one for saying we would see a Sam Glitch episode. That was
Yes.
his
Although
prediction.
Bobby from production, the little breakdance maneuver that you did on that little cut, we don't get cute. Okay.
There you go. All right, guys, that's our time. We're well beyond our time. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you so much to our panelists. Bubba Joe in the back in the States, we've got Chicago Hearts, Back Like Plants, Griffin here, Jules in the production studio, and all of you at home. Thank you for being a part. Cookies are gone. Thank you all for being a part of our studio audience here for Talking Trek, Starfleet Academy, episode 8, 2 episodes left. Very, very excited about it. I'm UltimatDJz.
I'm Griffin.
And that's Beck in Chicago and Bubba Joe. And
Live long and
live long
prosper.
and prosper, everybody. Good night.